Start recording. We're in paid lunch on September. September. Duh. August 20th, 2021. The day that will live in infamy. I got married this day. Long time ago. So, um, for anybody it's going to be recorded if you want to listen to this later. Rat, you can hear me?
Yes,
How
I
you
can
doing, man?
hear.
How you doing?
Good, good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I can't. Finally getting a decent day. Having a decent day. You
Nice.
know, it hasn't.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The market's really shitty, really. I mean, you take a look even on when we're done today. I'll guarantee you that across the market, whether you take an overall of the S&P 500 or every stock traded across every index, or just the Nasdaq, the decliners will still be bigger than the advancers. It's not a broad advance in the market. It's being very specific. Microsoft was something I kicked myself for us not getting into because I realized a couple of weeks ago, or about 10 days ago, that all the action on these indexes was coming as a result of money pouring into the large cap leaders in each sector. So, and that's why you're seeing stuff like Goldman take or Microsoft take off. But thanks for joining me. How much do you got? A couple minutes, right?
Yes, yeah,
Because you're actually working for a living today, right?
yeah. Daily.
All right, so this is so it's our paid lunch segment on August 20th, 2021, and I don't know how long ago this happened, but at one point in time I mentioned using a bracket order to execute your strategy. And in essence, what a bracket order is you put all the information in at one time on an order. You put in your entry, what you're willing to pay for the stock or the option, and then once you get filled, what your profit target is. That order goes in at the same time, so it's going to fill if it hits that profit target, and also your stop loss on it. So that also goes in. So you put in one order, and three different legs are in place at the same time. And so now you have a strategy that you believe in, and you just stick with that strategy, right? Now, I don't know, on your bracket order that you put in, did you use a trailing or did you use a stop?
I use a stop.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Why don't you explain the trade to everybody?
Yeah, I guess what I saw was momentum building pre-market on Roku. And so I just set my order for having a profit target of $3. And on the on the entry, I had it at $2 based on it was up $3 pre-market, and then looking at the delta, just calculating what's a reasonable price from an entry perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I put that in, and then a stop, which was at $1.20. I guess the risk reward I got to work on that ratio, but I felt that I could probably use this as a trial. So I mean, you could do it on a paper trade, but your emotions don't come out on a paper trade. So I really needed to do this on a cash trade. And I kind of just sat back after the trade was in and just watched the candles. And it hit my entry price target, which was the $2.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of dipped around, but didn't come close, and then just shot up. And at three, exited me out. So I was pretty happy with that because I was focused still on a work meeting, and meanwhile my trade took care of itself. So I think it totally removed the emotional aspect because I would have definitely have jumped out early if I was just trying to click and click.
Right. Right.
So,
The
so this was,
Yeah, and
yeah.
so what the takeaway, folks, here is that number one, he had a thesis going into the trade, right? And so based on the thesis is that he was bullish. He had a target that he was willing to pay for the price to get into the trade. He had a profit target that he had in mind before going into the trade, and he had a maximum loss that he was willing to take going into the trade, right? So all those three things are in place now. I'm recording this. I'm also streaming it live. If you can take a look at the box up there, You can see I'm streaming it live. I don't know how you guys access that, but I'm going to show you an example of how to do that, at least on this particular um, platform, which is Fidelity. And that is basically you're going to go to a conditional trade, which brings up this box right here in the middle. And you're going to enter, you're going to look for a one triggers, the other triggers, it cancels the other. All right. So I've got three things here. So I put in a symbol, let's just say spot, right? Since the baby's running today, it's already gone over my short. I'm happy it's running, but it hit my short today at 215. So it kind of dampened my. With spot, for instance, I'm going to enter a buy order, right? And let's just say I'm going to buy one share, and I decide I'm willing to pay 216 for it, since it's right around there, right? And the for the day, it's a trade that lasts in place all day until you cancel it. I've got it set up as a margin here, right? And and so now you've decided that's what you're willing to pay. So the next step is you got to have two other orders over here, which is if order B, if order B executes, cancel order C. If order C executes, cancel order B. So you got this. So your first thing is you want to pick you're going to want to pick a sell, right? And you got one quantity, and let's just say that let's just say you're picking a limit of two. You want to make $1 on the trade, so you go to 217. So that's there. Now you want to pick your stop loss. Now in the case of Rat Boy, he decided he was just going to use just a regular stop. But you can also use a trailing stop, right? So that if it keeps running above that number, you can capture more profit on it. But let's just say stop right there, okay? And let's say my stop is 215, right? I'm willing to pay 216. I'm willing to lose $1 on it. Now, here's the trade.
So Richard, just a question on where you said you could put a trail. Like if I have a sell, I guess you're saying the sell limit should be set as a trail then,
No, stop.
and then that would
The stop.
the stop.
Let me.
Okay.
So for instance, right now, if it fills at 216, these two orders are going to be put in place right away. So if it fills at 216, it'll fill it. Then it kicks these two orders in, right? So my trailing, I just put a stop in, but I think, can I edit this? Yeah. So here I put a regular stop in, but let's just say I want to put a stop in of $1, right? So instead of picking this, so now what happens is the stop loss of trailing stop $1. So trailing amount is $1. Okay. All right. Now I preview. Now what happens is it's going to kick both of these in, right? So if this thing keeps running past 217, it's not going to fill there because I have a trailing stop on it.
Oh, okay. So that's how you can keep the profit running, because even if it goes past your target, you're still in the trade.
Right, but except in some, every platform works differently, so you got to read about this. With Fidelity, I'm almost positive it's not a platform I've used. It's not a platform I used until I started this room, because I didn't have a retail platform before that, and so I'm not quite sure if I'm correct on that. You may have to put your limit up at a higher number, right? I'll have to play around with that. But in essence, what you're doing here is by using let's not focus on this, The trailing stop here is $1. So let's say it goes to 217, 218, 219. The trailing stop moves up $1 for that. So if it goes to 217 or 218, your trailing stop now is 217. Goes to 220, your trailing stop your stop is 219. Goes to 225, your stop is 224. So if it drops down to those numbers after going up to that number, you're gonna get filled there. And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's better.
So that way you can catch a runner and stay in the trade. Right. And and it's just a matter of picking what that trailing stop is going to be. You got to play around with that number to make sure it's not too tight, because you don't want to get blown up by a dip right away when you buy. So you have to have enough wiggle room in there so that it's not going to dip, 50 cents on you and fill. But what happens
Yeah.
is, like, if this thing goes all the way $80 without looking back, right? If it goes to $80 without looking back, you're definitely going to be, and then let's say it drops to 79. Now it's going to fill at 79. So
Mhm.
it keeps the trailing stop keeps moving up under the most recent high by whatever amount you picked by $1 in this case. Make sense?
Yep. Yep.
So, I mean,
Got to give it a
that's what
try.
I like to do. I like to use trailing stops because it's just then once again I've made a decision that ahead of time, and I think when you make the key takeaway again, folks, here is when you make decisions ahead of time, and I've explained to you guys and given you examples of this over and over. You walk through Northern Trust or Goldman Sachs or Deutsche Banks or pick any trading floor you want to walk through, UBS. Those guys are sitting around with their feet up on their desk, seriously. The reason for that is because they mechanically have figured out ahead of time, this is my trade. And I put everything in, and it goes either my way or it doesn't go my way. It doesn't go my way, then I've got this trade over here. That goes my way, then I go to this trade over here. And they're talking, they're texting, they're doing all kinds of other stuff. Versus versus staring at the screen and letting that screen cause you to have tunnel vision about making decisions. Right? It's like make the decisions ahead of time. And the brackets can do that. Plus, it also the other point that Rat Boy makes that's really um, helpful is that he works during the day, so he could put this in and go down the hallway to a meeting, and then come back, walk into his office, and look at it and go, "Oh, look at that! I made $1, or I made $2, or I made $50, or it stopped out on me and I lost 70 cents, or whatever." Right? So I think that's really helpful for anybody that trades during the day. I mean, whenever I walk away from my computer for an extended period of time, like if I'm going to go to a meeting or get on a Zoom call or whatever, where I'm not focusing on looking at the screen, because it can be really distracting to try to do that and have a conversation about some other completely different subject, right? At that point in time, I'll put a stop on anything that's volatile or potentially could drop on me while I'm gone, because I want to make sure that I don't lose money. So that's the key thing, is not to lose money. So yeah, we want to make money, but trust me, if you read enough about human psychology, people hate losing money a lot more than they like making it. So what part of the country are you in?
Uh, Toronto, Canada.
Oh, you're in Toronto too. So you know Stealth?
Yeah, we've been chatting, but yeah, is
He's
he
a
from?
he's a Canada guy too.
Oh, okay, and I hit him up.
I have not been in TO in, oh gosh, probably 5 years. So I always get a kick out of flying in there because I fly into that little airport into the city. What's the name of that little airport that's in the city?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I know which one. Billy
So
Bishop
yeah.
Airport.
So anyway, you have to take a ferry across, because it's an island, right?
Yes,
So,
it's got a tunnel now.
oh, they have a tunnel there now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the ferry's hilarious because the ferry's almost the size of the gap in the water there. So it's like you get on the
Yes,
ferry and it only goes like 5 feet, and then you get, and then you go walk on to the other side of the exit of the ferry and get off, and you're on the mainland. I mean, they got a guy that drives this thing back and forth 5 feet.
yes.
So I said, this has got to be some kind of union deal here that they don't want to get rid of this job because there's got to be a way to do this without having have a ferry that goes 5 feet back and forth over and over again all day. I thought it was hilarious when I was up
For
there.
sure, for sure.
So,
Now you can walk across, so it's
oh, so
improved.
so you have a walking bridge too now?
Yeah, under the water.
Oh,
That's where
okay.
they
So it's a
built it,
tunnel
not
that
above.
runs.
Yeah.
So, okay. But it's nice if you're doing business, if you're just going in for a business meeting for the day because you're right, you're right in downtown, right? And,
Yeah.
versus having to buzz back and forth in a taxi. So I like the convenience of it. It's really easy. And from New York, it's less than an hour to come into that thing. So, but like I said, I haven't been in Canada. I haven't been anywhere since March of 2020. So, I mean, I've been besides being in Wisconsin and New York. That's it. and Chicago. Those have been my three stops. So what's the Canadian deal right now in COVID? What's going on up there?
We are still, I guess we're like in this thing called stage three. So some of the stuff is open, not fully open like you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're still under the, I think we're just taking a reverse approach. So
So you
not
guys, when does school start for you guys up there?
September.
September. So the kids go back to school in September. Are they going in?
Yeah, yeah, that's the plan.
And
Yep,
what are you guys
but they won't.
mandating vaccines?
Uh, our workplaces are starting, like mine, the banking. They said November 1st, everyone has to be vaccinated to be coming into the office.
Okay.
Uh, yeah,
And which means, and they want people in the office, obviously, right? So, I mean, in the
yeah,
financial services business, which is the business I'm in, my take on it is, there isn't everybody. They want everybody back in the office, right? Now, I've got three kids that all work in the tech sector, and they're like, one of them is like, well, we already closed down two of our smaller offices, and we'll never open them again, or at least for now. So, but in the financial services sector, I get the sense that um, they want everybody back in the office. So, and to do that safely, you want people vaccinated. I know you can say masks, but vaccinations are going to give you the greatest protection, right? So,
exactly,
uh,
exactly.
so I watched James Gorman was on CBS News a couple weeks ago. He's the CEO of Morgan Stanley. And so I know Jim fairly well. I tried to recruit him a bunch of different times before he was a big shot, and he's a no holds barred, no bullshit Brit, right? And so he was being interviewed by CBS Evening News. They said, "Well, what's your policy going to be?" He said, quite simply, he said, "I want everybody back at their desks after Labor Day." Which means we're
Wow.
going to have a safe return to do that. So he said, I'll let the individual divisional managers figure out how they want to handle safe returns. But he said, people have two choices after September 1st. He said they can be at their desk at Morgan Stanley or they can be at their desk elsewhere. So
Hmm.
pretty much drew a line in the sand. So, we'll see what happens, because a lot of people have left Manhattan. Um, as a guy that works for me, that is moved to southern Jersey. He bought a place down on the shore, and his wife said they don't want to come back to Manhattan. So I said that's fine. He's an hour train ride away, and if there's a meeting, he can get up here for it. And I'm not coming back into Manhattan now until after Labor Day anyway, to spend a significant amount of time because everything's starting to looks like things could get not shut down again because I don't think they're going to go to that extreme. But they're definitely going to be peeling back things, right? And so anyway, it's interesting times we live in, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So what do you do? You're in the financial services sector or in banking, you said?
Yeah, I'm banking, so I'm product owner. So right now I'm doing like anti-money laundering. Um, I guess regulations that we gotta implement.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, all right. Well, I appreciate you taking some time here. I know you have other things to do besides talk to me, so I'm glad you're able to break away from your meetings and join us for a few minutes. So, how long have
Yeah,
you?
I'm,
How you enjoy? What is there anything advice you could give me in terms of how to manage the room better?
no, I don't think it's about managing the room. Maybe what I'd like to learn more is just writing down your trading plan,
Mm-hmm.
because I find this trade was much better because I had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if my trading plan was like accurate or to a degree that says uh, repeatable, because that's what I want to get to. That I just want to take trades where I'm confident and I jump in versus just like throwing darts on the board, right? And winner or loser.
Right. And so, when you must not do a lot of day trading, then I'm assuming most of your trades are swing trades, right?
Uh, well, yeah, I guess you could say that definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So, because I mean, there's obviously differences between the two, right? In
Hmm.
and then and with swing trading, the key, the key thing to start out with there is what's the length of the trade, right? Especially if you're in an options trade, because options have time value that erodes every day. So you need to understand the calculations associated with that to figure out what's the right timing. Like for instance, the GNRC trade. Are you in that one?
No,
Okay, so I'm
no.
going to close that today. I've got a timeline of today on that, no matter what. I wanted to get. I was hoping for a run to 420. It's given me 400 so far. I was hoping for a run to 650 on the contract spread. It's given me 550 so far. So that's a 55% gain on on the trade, and I had a 50% minimum target, 100% maximum target on it. So, but that was a 3-day trade. Very specific about how I put it in a small stock or small account channel for everybody to look at. And yeah, having a plan is essential. It's essential because how do you make decisions without a plan? You make decisions on emotions and the like, right?
Hmm.
I'm not saying you can't use your intuition when you're sitting in front of your screen to has some value. I mean, intuition has substantial value because it's based upon your experience, right? But most of what happens in the course of people trading stocks or options or fixed income or currencies or futures, most of what causes people to make mistakes is their emotions, right? And I made a joke earlier on. I think it might have been only one or two people on voice when I said this, but I said I'd love to commission a biotech company to make to manufacture a anti-FOMO pill, so I can give it to all traders in the morning before they start trading.
For sure.
you know, I said because I think that there's a tremendous amount that can be said for the fact that you jump into trades emotionally because you're watching something run, right? It's like I want a piece of that, I want a piece of that, without even thinking through what the consequences are. So anyway, I'll leave it at that and I'll let you go. How long have you been trading with us, by the way, and what kind of grade do you give us?
I guess I've been trading maybe since you set up shop,
Okay,
I guess.
okay,
Uh, yeah, I would say like in my case, I'm between three and a four only because I don't get to jump in on a whole bunch of trades. So personally, it's my time. So I haven't been taking advantage of all the information coming through. So as I think for me, come November, that's when I'm going to be more active because that's when my work starts to go down,
okay.
which will help me. So I think I'll have a better outlook then because I'll be more active. But I do like the guys putting in the details, the charts, and everyone calling out the stuff. That's very helpful.
Yeah, and it's not overwhelming anyway. It's not a room where you got like I mean, there's some of these other rooms out there. They got 16,000 people in them or whatever. And I go and I look through there just to see what everybody else is doing. And it's like, how do you even follow anything on here? There's stuff. It looks like a stock tape that you're watching. There's so many comments coming through at the same time. So
Yeah, yeah. So it's not overwhelming. So I think that's a good key, right?
yep. I mean, that's the way I wanted to make it. And I've learned a lot about how to do this, and it's helping me set the stage for what I eventually want to evolve this into, and that's to go as an independent, fully standalone internet business versus using Discord,
Hmm.
where we're broadcasting in a much bigger audience, and you have sort of the premium sector where people can get into like this one and learn, and be coached specifically about how to trade and invest, and then and then the other areas which are people just access stuff that's not the premium channels. So anyway, that's what I kind of want. I'm trying to take it towards that and learning learning the mindset of the retail trader. I guess has probably been my biggest learning curve in terms of talking to you guys and here was trying to figure out why you're doing this or why you think that way or what are some of the gaps in terms of what you know. I was surprised when I started up this room because I know there's a bunch of people that came here from the other room, right?
Hmm.
Um, And I was very surprised that when we started trading, is that there was not a lot of knowledge about how you sell premium, right? To as a hedge or as to create income or anything like that. I mean, that surprised me because I thought, and I didn't really take many classes, or actually, to be honest, I never took a class in the other room because I wasn't in there for that purpose. You know, they put me. Michael approached me and asked me to be in there as to help people, and so I never really took a class in there. But I thought that they had taught all of that in that, and so I was surprised that there's so many folks here that credits that didn't even know the first thing about a credit spread, or using how to collect premium or to hedge prior to coming in here. Did you know anything about? Did you have experience? Because you traded in the other room for several. Are you still in the other room, by the way?
No, I'm
Okay,
not.
you're not.
I'm just cutting down on the noise.
Okay, so but when you trade, how long did you trade with that other group?
Probably 6 months.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so you attended any of the education that they gave?
Yeah, I did. It was harder to follow. I think my lack of experience was one of those pieces, and you couldn't really understand all the items. I think one of my biggest gains was just understanding is the shorting. Well, I guess selling right against premium, but not really having the concept down. I think today I have the concept down better, but that at that time I knew nothing, and I think that introduction was just a little bit of breaking the ice on that part, and that's helped me, get started. But I wouldn't say it went into in depth because you need to know about the Greeks and stuff to
Right,
be able to take advantage of it.
right. And so what you found here, um, in terms of how I've communicated that concept, because it's a really essential concept, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's really essential to be an effective trader is to understanding spreads and how to use the deltas and everything else, and also using splashing credit spreads across your entire portfolio because that reduces your overall exposure to the market, right? And
yeah, exactly. So I've been taking advantage of that. I took a couple of trades, the ones that you called out,
mhm.
and closed out the short to fund my long. So that worked out perfect.
Cool, cool. All right, so the education here in terms of trying to provide understanding of how you deal with short side of options trades has been helpful.
Yes, yes, definite.
Cool, cool. Well, if there's anything else that you can suggest, please feel free to just type it in or message me or whatever. I'm always happy to listen to new ideas. I'm trying to right now. Basically just tried to let this room settle in for several months, and because the next step up is ratio spreads and undefined risk spreads, where the kind of credits that we're used to getting out of credit spreads will be 2x of what they're used to otherwise, but they're more complex and require um, a little bit deeper understanding of some of the stuff we already know on the surface. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
things like short strangles and short straddles and short strangles and short ratio spreads. If you're used to getting $75 credit, you can double those to double those credits to $150 per trade, with this basically taking on the same amount of risk and the same amount of probability of profit, somewhere in the high 80s, low 90 percentage areas. So that's kind of the next step that I'm going to be introducing here.
Oh, for sure. I look forward to it.
So great.
I gotta drop now, but thank you,
Thank you
and
for
I do
joining me.
appreciate the little coaching, right? Because it's only going to making me better.
Yeah, keep using those brackets because then it's like you know you already made your decision. First of all, it makes you think through something first, right? And
Yes.
all right, and a lot of people. And how many times have you jumped into a trade where the only thing you thought through was I'm taking this, I'm buying this right now, right? So that's not a good idea. That's not a thorough process. A thorough process is I'm buying this now and I'm going to sell it here. I'm going to stop here. I had all that ahead of time. So the brackets makes your mind think through that step by step process ahead of time. So in my opinion, very valuable. So All right, I'll let you go because I know you got to do actual work. So, but I appreciate you joining me. Appreciate you being part of our group. Appreciate your contributions.
Thanks, Richard.
Talk to you later.
Take care.
So there we go. Brackets. That's our paid lunch, early paid lunch, paid brunch. We'll call it today. Haven't recorded one of these in a while, so happy I had a chance to do that. For one of our Canadian friends joining us today to provide an example of how you use bracket orders to take emotions out of and cause your mind to think through the trade before you take it. So I'm signing. I'm going to stop recording here now, and we'll put this in the channel for podcasts. So